I've been living here all my life, born and raised. Spent a little time away in the Bay Area of California, but I've been here most of my life. Spent 23 years out at the coal mine in the engineering field. I was the chief surveyor out there. From the 70s through the mid 80s and that, all those downtown businesses were thriving. They were full. You'd come down on a Saturday afternoon, sidewalks were full, the stores were full, and it was just a cool little town. But then, things started happening. The mines shut down. The racetrack disappeared. I'm gonna pull right in here. It's been tough. It's hard on small towns. It's hard on small town America all across. In my last job, I was in communities all throughout the state. And, people say, well, things aren't happening in Raton. Well, take a drive through across the state because it's not happening in all of the state.
Cute little Main Street?
It is. This is where it all happens.
What do you think we lose if we lose these little small town communities?
You lose Americana. You really do. You lose a lot of history.
Come on in.
Just like the warmth of a small town, the friendliness, the comfort, knowing that people care and they care about their citizens. That's what I think you miss when these little towns disappear. Why don't we walk back down through here? But, as the mines went, we had freight hauled through here almost on a daily basis. And when the mine shut down, we lost the freight business. We still have Amtrak. Amtrak comes through 3 days a week. It used to be every day, but it is now just 3 days a week. Our population started dropping. We started getting lower attendance at school, and like I said, 2009, after the 2008, it just crumbled. And we've been trying to build back ever since. So we're trying to tap into the outdoor environment. It was a missed opportunity in the past because everybody thought coal mine's going to be here forever. We've got still reserves that would last well into the next century. Kind of got behind the 8 ball a little bit. But now we're saying, okay, we're open still. We're open for business. Come see us. Great water, great weather, and just love this place.
Open space for us, outdoor recreation, is part of our economic development plan. The Trust for Public Lands did this great research project when they looked at Fisher's Peak State Park, and they talked about having 50-mile trails. We'll bring in 130 non-local visitors, which results in about $11 million in direct spending, which is about, for towns our size, is about $1,300 per person. We're hoping that as we have more outdoor recreation going on in our community, we'll have different effects. One effect might be that we would attract an outdoor retailer. Of course, fuel, our gas tax, directly impacts our roads and the leveraging we have with state grants on fixing roads, our restaurants, shopping, just helping our town develop a little more robustly. As we get people here, we can keep them here longer, and particularly here where they could connect to eventually Colorado is the hope. Downtown Raton, all the way to Colorado and back.
We're keeping an eye on it because things have gotten drier.
We're standing in Buck Ridge Ranch, which is private land on its way to becoming public land and an outdoor recreation asset for the town of Raton. But ecologically speaking, why is it important that this space be preserved as open space?
Well, this is an area that has a tremendous amount of biodiversity, a tremendous amount of wildlife. So you have this massive wildlife migration corridor that the Nature Conservancy is expecting to become more and more important. It's mapped as a resilient connector between the mountains and the prairie, as we expect the climate to be moving around on us. There are so many unique species that live and rely on the grasslands. There are migrants that rely on the grasslands, migrating birds, shorebirds, grassland birds, big game. elk is something that most people envision with, connect with the mountains, but that's actually a prairie animal.
Globally, grasslands are one of the fastest disappearing ecosystems. What's happening?
They're being converted to other uses. And that is extraordinarily problematic for a variety of reasons, but for perhaps most importantly, because of the ecosystem services that grasslands provide to massive population centers. So you look behind me right now, this Buck Ridge Ranch and the Bartlett Mesa Ranch, they're in the watershed directly for not only the town of Raton, but the water flows into the Canadian River, the headwater of the Canadian River, which then snakes down, curves through New Mexico, across the Texas Panhandle and into Oklahoma. And just within that zone, it is the primary fresh drinking water source for more than 750,000 people. You kind of have this perfect mix of, this perfect opportunity to do something that's going to be wildly impactful for the community, but also checks all the boxes for, conserving a really important area.
I came to work for TNC just a little over 10 years ago.
All right, JJ, so talk me through how these two ranches fit into this wider conservation effort.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. So kind of start with where we are. So this yellow property right here, this is Buck Ridge. So this property, this beautiful landscape that we're sitting in is actually where we're at. But this story starts quite a while ago. Back in 2018, if I get my dates right, the city of Trinidad actually contacted the Nature Conservancy and was curious about 4,000 acres of this property right here that at one time was known as the Crazy Frenchman Ranch. So most people now know it as Fisher's Peak State Park. And so we said, let's not look at 4,000 acres that would be an economic engine for your community, but let's look at 19,200 acres. And we were able to purchase what is now known as Fisher's Peak State Park. Then Raton, to the south here, was able to kind of hear, what was going on the other side of the border. And they said, well, we like what you guys are doing there, and we see what the city of Trinidad is able to do. What can we do? This in the green, which is known as Bartlett Mesa, we were able to pick that up, and now that became a state wildlife area. And being able to then piece those together, then you basically got Raton, you got Buck Ridge, Bartlett Mesa, you got Sugar Eat State Park, James M. John, and Fisher's Peak that then comes all the way back into the city of Trinidad. Ecology is still being protected, conservation targets are still being protected, but it's not being subdivided so much that the biology is not moving through there.
The puzzle pieces are coming together in a way that could open up for this incredibly diverse trail network, horse packing, backpacking, whatever it is. You could go through all these different environments and essentially link the city of Raton to the city of Trinidad, which just, as an outdoor recreationist myself, sounds beyond amazing.
The first times you came up to this ranch and the adjacent ranch, so Buck Ridge Ranch and Bartlett Mesa Ranch, which are now both on their way to becoming public land. Mm-hmm. What did you see? Like, what was the experience like?
It was incredible. We came up the first time on sunrise up on Bartlett Mesa and just watched the sun come over the edge of, the plains. So we're in this gorgeous place with all this rim rock and the colors. There was a bobcat running around, just the coolest, most beautiful things. We're so connected and we look at these properties all day long. I can sit on my porch and look over here, but I don't, I haven't been able to this point to come up here and recreate. People will sometimes say there's just not enough to do, and we are in a small town, and sometimes it can feel that way. But having these opportunities of other things that are good for the soul to come out and do, I think is going to be great for our town.